Broadcasting live from the Joy 106.3 FM studios, it's the Hail Wildcats Gridiron Show with the Gridiron Gang. Fellas, let's flip the switch and do this.
Very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Hail Wildcats X's and O's show, or better known as the Gridiron Show. Guys, welcome to another week of the Gridiron Show. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Ralph Smith, and my co-host, the professor, Mr. Larry Wesley. Ralph, how is it going week before homecoming, sir? How you doing?
Well, my mind is not on homecoming, Coach. My mind is on Montgomery, Alabama. Let's get it going.
Definitely so. Definitely. My mind is on the homecoming, but it's not the one that, you know.
The homecoming in Montgomery.
Yeah, definitely so. Professor, how's it going, sir?
Not bad, Daryl. Not bad at all. I'm sort of feeling a lot like you guys. I know homecoming is in the air. You can kind of feel it if you're driving around the campus a little bit or in the community, and it's not far away. But as you said, Ralph, so eloquently, my mind is also on the Hornets of Alabama and Bama State. Rather, I went back to look at that game the second time against Bama State in Alcorn last week. Very physical football game. Just came down to one more play being made by Alcorn to win the football game. But it's going to be a tough environment in Montgomery. It'll be homecoming for them, and they're on a three-game losing streak. We got to be ready to play. There's no question about it. It's a winnable ball game for us, but that's what my mind is certainly focusing on right now.
Definitely have to be ready to play and going in a hostile environment with homecoming, festivities and things of that nature, and everyone, of course, as we know, like to win homecoming. So hopefully our guys, we've had our week off, and hopefully we'll be ready to go out and play some ball, guys. So that's what it comes down to. I see you, Taja. I see you, Miss Emma. Welcome to the Gridiron Show. I see you, Theron. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. That'll take us right into our SWAC week recap. Tuskegee goes into Alabama A&M. Final score of that game, Alabama A&M 58, Tuskegee 3. Quincy Casey throws for 296 yards on the day in that contest. I don't think any surprises there, but that was Tuskegee's first loss, right, guys?
Yep.
Well, it surprised me a great deal because Tuskegee had beaten a very good Fort Valley team early in the year, and I gave the edge to Alabama A&M, but not by that score. I did not have that kind of separation. So Cornell Mann and his guys got him playing.
Yeah, definitely has them playing. Lincoln out of California goes to Texas Southern. Final score of that game, Texas Southern 52, Lincoln 7.
No surprise there. Texas Southern homecoming. Happened to find the game by surprise the other night after they played. Yeah, I was thumbing through. It was on TV. They played the contest on campus at the Alexander Durley Stadium, and you could clearly see the separation between the two schools. Lincoln's not bad, but you could see that the Tigers of TSU were firing on all cylinders.
Gotcha, definitely. Then Southern goes to Arkansas Pine Bluff. Final score of that game, Southern 27, Arkansas Pine Bluff 0.
I was really surprised at that score. I thought it would be a lot closer. So apparently Southern found some offense.
Well, they're building some momentum, that's for certain, because they got a big one this week with Florida A&M, but I did not think that they could go into Pine Bluff and shut Pine Bluff out.
The way Pine Bluff was playing of late.
Right.
Yeah, of late.
Definitely. Then you had Alcorn at Alabama State, our foe this weekend. Alcorn 23, Alabama State 20. That game went into overtime there.
Exciting game. Bama State was leading it 20-17, and Alcorn kicked the field goal at the end of overtime with 6 seconds left in regulation to send it in overtime, and then they kicked the field goal to win it. So that was a very surprising score for me in terms of not the physicality of the game, but the fact that that they could go in there and get that W. I really
Right.
thought Bama State would take that game.
Definitely so. Definitely. Florida A&M goes to Mississippi Valley. Final score of that game was 31-7, but that game was not. The score wasn't indicative of the way that game was. It was much closer.
We said it last week, guys. It's always tough to play in Edabina. It's hard to get there, and when you get there, it's awfully hard to get focused in and
Hard
give
to
out
stay there, too.
and give Mississippi Valley credit. They did what they were supposed to. They pressured Musa all day long and into some errant throws, and the ball game remained in the balance into the second half.
Yes. You know, a lot of the A&M people say that their team tend to play down to the opponent. But if you look at it, Musa has not been very efficient this year anyway. He just haven't been efficient.
Well, I wish some of those fans, if they have not been to Edabina, would go. Then they would see what I'm talking about. Nothing
Indeed,
against
Larry.
Edabina, it's just a tough place to play.
Yeah, I know. I have no desires of going there.
Whatsoever at all. All right. Next up, Prairie View goes to Grambling. Final score of that game, Grambling 35, Prairie View 20.
That's a State Fair Classic in Dallas. You know how that it really a close ball game, and Grambling pulled away later in the second half. But the game was well played throughout until Grambling gained some separation. Crawley, the quarterback from Grambling, really throws that football really well. He's
He
a
does.
transfer to Grambling from Alabama State.
Definitely. That wraps up our SWAC week recap and takes us right into our Pro First Sports Management SWAC week schedule and rankings. First up, top of the day, Bethune-Cookman. Our Wildcats go to Alabama State. That is a 2 p.m. kickoff Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. There in Montgomery, it is Alabama State's homecoming, and we will cover that shortly. Grambling goes to Alcorn. That's a 3:30 p.m. kickoff, so 2:30 p.m. in Lorman, Mississippi. Jackson State goes into Alabama A&M. That's a 3 p.m. Central Standard Time kick, 4 p.m. Eastern. They're in Mobile. FAMU and Southern. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff there in Baton Rouge. The last 3 contests between those guys have been very close, so we'll pay attention to that game. That will be an ESPNU game. Mississippi State goes to Prairie View A&M. That's a 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm sorry, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern there in Prairie View. And so that's our SWAC week schedule. That'll take us right into our FCS computer rankings. Let's see what the computer has done this week. Coming in at number 11, previously 13, is FAMU. 25, Jackson State. They were previously 29. Grambling State, 52. They were previously 69. Alabama A&M comes in at 60. They were previously 78. Southern comes in at 62. They were previously 77. And our Wildcats come in at 75. We were previously 81. Texas Southern at 80, previously 91. Alcorn, 89, previously 100. Alabama State comes in at 100. They were previously 83. Prairie View A&M comes in at 102, previously 93. Arkansas Pine Bluff comes in at 106, previously 105. And Mississippi Valley rounds it out at 128, and they were previously the same. As far as our SWAC rankings in the East, FAMU comes in at 2-0 in the conference, overall 3-1. Jackson State 1-1 conference, 3-2 overall. Alabama A&M 1-1 conference, 2-2 overall. Alabama State 0-1 in the conference, 1-2 overall. Our Wildcats come in at 0-1 in the conference, 1-3 overall, and Mississippi Valley comes in 0-0 in the conference, 0-3 overall. In the West, Prairie View comes in at 2-0. Overall, they're 2-2. Grambling State 1-0 in the conference, 2-2 overall. Southern 1-0 in the conference, 1-2 overall. And then Alcorn comes in 0-1 in the conference, 1-3 overall. Arkansas Pine Bluff 0-1 conference, 1-3 overall. And finishing out the West, 0-2 Texas Southern. They are 0-4 overall. So that's where the SWAC stands at this time. Guys, we'll turn our minds to campus life. Anything exciting that you guys heard of, or you got any recaps from us? We're 100-year anniversary coming up. I know we'll celebrate it big time next week.
A couple of things come to mind relative to the 100-year recap there. It's we finally started playing Alabama State on a regular basis. Bethune-Cookman really in like 1971. 70 was the first year, and in that 73 season, we handled them pretty well, 32-0 in that season. But this week, 50 years ago, was a very interesting football game in Jacksonville Stadium against Albany State, in a game that was a heavily contested football game. The Wildcats were undefeated coming into the game, and we got quite a test from Albany State in the Gator Bowl. 8,500 people attending, and what a football game it was. We battled in the rain all night long with them. They had a very good defensive plan. But that game is most remembered because that's the game Wayne Allen broke the Gator Bowl record with 266 yards, broke the old record held by the legendary Georgia running back Charlie Trippi, who was a Heisman Trophy winner. But we needed every one of those 266 to take down a very good Albany State football game. I never thought the game would be that close, but it was nip and tuck throughout. And the play of Willie Collins and Wayne Allen and that Wildcat defense was enough to get us by Albany State in a very exciting football game. Well attended in Jacksonville, 8,500 people in the rain. And it was a very exciting football game that led us to a 4-0 season beginning in 1973, 50 years ago.
50 years ago. Yes, sir.
It doesn't seem like it, but boy, I tell you, what a game it was. Would love to hear from Willie Jackson if he's out there tonight. Get his comments on that game.
Most definitely. Definitely looking forward to hearing from Willie. We haven't heard from him in a while, so hopefully we can get him on. Definitely get him on. Guys, our Wildcats have played 4 games so far. Let's go down the stat line. Bethune-Cookman, points per game, 17 points. Total for the year, 68. Our opponents, 33 points. Total, 132. First downs, rushing, 15 for the Wildcats, 48 for the opponents. Passing, 29 first downs, 43 for the opponents. Penalties, 7 penalties for first downs, 2 for the opponents, for a total of 51 and 93. As far as yardage on the year, yards gained for Bethune-Cookman on the ground, 376. Opponents, 874. We've had 4 rushing touchdowns. Opponents have had 11. We're averaging 67 rushing yards per game. Our opponents are averaging 197. As far as passing attempts, we've had 112 attempts, 68 completions, 2 interceptions. Our opponents have had 128. They've completed 87, and they've had 3 interceptions. 3 passing touchdowns, and our opponents have had 5. So, passing yards on the year, we had 605. Our opponents, 973. Our total offense, total plays for the season, 220. Our opponents, 279. Average per play, 4 yards. Opponents, 6.3. Average per game, 218.3 yards. Our opponents, 440.3. Total yards, 873. Our opponents, 1,761 yards. Touchdowns on the season, 9 and 17 for our opponents. Anything stand out for you guys?
We have to stop the run. I think that's an issue for us. I think we, against Jackson State, I think they just overpowered us on the run because they couldn't pass on us. But then we got to get better stopping the run.
Average per game, time of possession, 26 minutes, 19 seconds. Our opponent, 33 minutes, 18 seconds. Total on the season, 1 hour, 45 minutes, 15 seconds. Our opponent's 2 hours, 13 seconds. So.
Well, it's a couple of ways to slice this. Ralph says stop the run. I think most teams are going to attack us by running it. What has happened is our defense has really given up yards 20-20, but we've not given up a lot of scores in the red zones. Right. Hopefully defense travels. The key for me is that we have got to simplify the game and understand, rather than looking at the scoreboard, we need to make first and 10s, guys.
Exactly.
We have got to sustain drives. We cannot be going 3 and out, putting the defense, at bay. And most importantly, this football game Saturday comes right down to one thing for me. It comes down to how well we handle Alabama State's pressure defense. And secondarily to that, making it 1A and 1B, do not turn the football over.
Right.
How do we treat the pressure we know that they're going to give us? They're going to come with the hair on fire, and how we unlock that to make first downs, to move the football, that will be the determining factor in this football game. There's no question in my mind about that. If we can handle their pressure, move the football, sustain it a little bit, they're struggling off offense just as we are.
Right.
They're looking to create short fields. We have to win the kicking game this week, guys, because this thing could come down to field goal kicking, just as it did last week against Alcorn. But the key is making the first down, being able to move football.
Go ahead, Ralph.
And I was thinking about that on the way over, and I said, we can ill afford to go 0 for 14 on third downs. If we can go 7 out of 14, would be a great improvement. We don't need great quarterbacking. We need good quarterbacking, making good decisions and getting first downs. That's what we need.
And we definitely, guys, let's be honest about this. We got to solve the equation offensively by getting a good call football game, in terms of putting our players in good position to make the kind of plays we're talking about. Not being behind the chains, not being in second and third long. We got to avoid that. Ralph, if we get a 50% third down ratio, you said 7 out of 14, we should win the football game.
We'll win the football game.
Yeah, and no doubt in my mind about it.
So in addition to that, though, we gotta in order to help the quarterback, we gotta run the ball a lot better than what we've ran it. We gotta create more yardage on the ground to back their defense up, especially linebackers. And this is the first time in a long time where we couldn't run the ball.
We've had our week off, or had a week off. Preparations between the last 2 weeks. What have you seen in those preparations that gives you some hope?
Well, I seen a lot of emphasis put on the line, stopping the run, which I think we got to do. But again, I also seen a lot of emphasis put on us trying to run the ball as well, which I think we got to do.
And most importantly, if we don't run it, or if we do run it, the ball has got to come out quick on passes.
Yeah.
We cannot hold the football. It's got to come out quick. The other thing that I would love to see, I haven't seen a lot of it this year, we're going to have to incorporate the quarterback run game use our quarterback's
Right.
legs
I agree.
in the
That,
running game.
that clock has to go
exactly,
off, you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Giving the quarterback a two-way go on a run, RPO, where he can get out and run, or throw quick, sharp passes, anything to move that football to get
Yes.
those 10 yards.
Definitely.
That's so important.
And like you said earlier, we got to stay ahead of the chain.
Automatic.
We got to stay ahead of the chain.
When you're struggling the way that those numbers suggest that we've struggled offensively,
Right.
it's because we've been behind schedule. And we must stay on schedule in this
Exactly.
football game.
Comes down third down conversions. I know you spoke a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 12 for 52 on third down conversions. That's 23.08%. Our opponent's not much better, like 10% better. They're 16 to 48. Fourth down conversions, which you never hope to get there, 2 for 4 on the season, so 50%. And then your opponents are at 71.43%. They're 5 for 7. Yeah.
But you know what throws those statistics off, and I kind of look at them differently when we played the 2 Power 5 schools.
Yeah, right.
See, that kind of throw those off.
It skews it badly.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It
See,
does.
I kind of look at our team the way we played Jackson State because I'm thinking they're the same size we are. They
Right.
got the same amount of scholarships.
Right.
And
But the thing is, like, if you hold them to fourth down, you know, like for them, if you hold them to fourth down, you got to get them off the field.
you got to get them off.
You got to
the
get
field.
them off the field.
Yeah.
You know, and you know that hurt us in the last game.
It did.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sure did. It hurt us really twice, real bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're gonna get some one-on-one shots in the passing game.
Yes.
Of course.
Because they're playing the way that they play with the
Yeah.
pressure. We got to win some of those 50-50
Yeah.
balls
Yeah.
and make some plays down the field in that regard. But like I said, the quarterback run game has to be factored into this game a little bit
Yes.
more to keep us ahead of those chains.
The quarterback run game and the short pass.
Of course.
Yeah.
Quick passes out the backfield to either running backs or to wide receivers, so that we can make yards after catch.
Right.
You know, those are the things that we're going to have to look at. But if you hold the football, you're going to get sacked, and you're going to be playing behind.
You're going to be
the
playing
sticks.
behind the sticks.
What do you? And I know we have other backs. What do you do with Bazile being out?
Well,
Or
there has to-
questionable. We'll say.
questionable. Yeah, I mean, we possibly lose him. That means that Terry Lynch is going to have to step up and give us a big game. You know, it's always the next man up, but he's the most veteran guy we
Right.
have coming back, and he's going to have to play a big part of this football game. No doubt about that. Jimmy Robinson is going to have to
Right.
step up, you know, and we're going to get something out of our upperclassmen, our seniors in that regard. That's a big loss if Wesley cannot go, because he's critical to our running game. That's why I'm saying the quarterback's legs have got to be in there.
Got to be definitely have to be in there.
You know who we have not featured, and I would love to see this be a breakout game? Our tight ends, our H-backs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've not shown a lot of that. Those guys can be real good pressure releases for us,
Definitely so.
and we need to get them involved in that.
Definitely so. How do you propose us to get them involved more? Let's just say.
Well, I think you have to kind of scheme it up. From what I was looking at, the one practice that I saw today, the way Bama State looking at their video or their films, the middle is open. You know, when they're coming with blitzes, because they're coming from all different angles.
Right.
So you got to have hot routes.
Right. As soon as that person leaves,
Right. That H-back who's there sitting in that H-back slot, maybe he shows that he's going to block, but then he releases. He doesn't have to go far. Maybe 4 or 5 yards.
That's all we need.
Dump
4 or
it
5
to him.
yards. Yeah.
That becomes a part of a screen game, a short screen game, to get the ball out as a pressure release.
Yes. Definitely. Yeah.
And then on I know we've kind of focused on the offensive side of the ball. What's most important on the defensive side?
The direct runs by the quarterback, Demetrius Davis. He is very gifted with his legs. I don't worry about him running away from us on the outside. We got good speed to get him on the outside.
Right. So
but it's the
basically,
direct power runs.
You have to mirror him.
You have to mirror him, but you have to be sound in your gap fits for the power run game inside.
Coming downhill, right?
That's what they're gonna. That's what they're gonna try to make their living. We were too slow to contain him outside last year with our linebacker play. We got speed there. And I'd rather him running wide than having him running up the middle of the football field.
Exactly.
That's where he's most dangerous. But containing him.
And they run a lot of Alabama State run a lot of Wildcats too.
Well, they run a lot of motion. There's a lot of kind of eye candy, with direct snaps. But they're trying to outflank the defense in that regard. I think our defense can stand up to them. I really believe that.
Yeah.
We've got, our defensive line has a slant. We, of course, have to protect the ball. Definitely tackling has to be a lot better on defense.
But make no mistake about it, their bread and butter is power running. Mm-hmm. They want to get you going east and west, but where they really want to hurt you is right up the middle. And so that's where the linebackers and gap fits, being in the proper running lanes,
right?
To take away those power plays, that's going to be important. The safeties are going to have to come down in the box a little bit, because this is not a team that's going to really throw deep over the top on you.
Nope.
So your safeties have got to be looking to get more involved in the run game as a run support.
What from being in practice this week and some of last week, did you see many differences from the first 4 games?
Well, we were getting some people back that were banged up, and so we were watching people being incorporated in that. I particularly watched the defensive side in terms of the scout team running Bama State stuff, and basically you saw the emphasis being put on containing the jet sweeps and also the run fits, and so I like that in that regard. With us on the quarterback side, with the offense, you saw the ball again coming out fairly quickly. The shorter routes, the yards after catch. That's what you're going to have to make a living out of, and it was good to see us practicing some of that in that regard. I think our kicking game has to be just as good as it was against Jackson. Mm-hmm. If we can win the kicking game, we still need to get some guys in the return game.
Yeah,
we've not gotten anything.
Yeah, that's
yet.
what I've been looking for, because I think we got 2 excellent returns.
Yeah, we need to get something out of that.
That was a discussion in the press box or during practice the other day.
We need to get a little more out of what we've been getting there. I did see a lot of emphasis, several segments where we were trying to block kicks. We saw a couple of punt blocks where we came after. I was happy to see that. This is the kind of game that you can, get a short field if you get a block punt.
And there were a lot of emphasis on that in the practices that we saw.
Absolutely.
One of the things I've noticed with Alabama State and their losses against Miles and Alcorn is that Alabama State sort of don't have as much focus in the fourth quarter as maybe they had in the first quarter. And that's how they got beat against Miles, and that's how they got beat against Alcorn. They kind of lose their focus. And we, so far this year, we played all 4 quarters with the same intensity.
We finish.
Well, they're very much a front-running team. You're going to have to withstand. This is homecoming.
Right.
So they're going to come out fast.
Right.
Exactly.
And the longer we can, keep the game in balance, we know that they have a history. They've shown it so far, fading in the second half, and we might have a chance to steal it that way.
Yeah. Hopefully, because they have faded.
So first half team for them?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Front runner, get out quick, get the fans involved. Now their problem, as Ralph has said, has been sustaining that.
Right.
Sustaining that. And so we have to weather that first wave, because it's going to come. It's going to come. Homecoming, they're going to be juiced up. They're going to be bringing pressure after us big time. We've got to survive that and take this thing into deep water, get it into the third, fourth quarter, and then rely on them to do what they've been doing all along, which is to fade a little bit.
It's just like when we played Jackson State.
Right.
If we would have let them come out and just run up and down the field, it'd have been a long night for us.
Of course.
But when we wouldn't allow them to do that, I think they even start questioning themselves and saying, hey, this ain't the team we was expecting. We got to do that with Alabama State. We got to sustain our intensity through 4 quarters, and we'll win the game.
Do we have the guys to do that?
Of course.
Well,
I think we do.
And the other thing is that if we win the turnover battle, Bama State has shown a propensity to turn the football over.
Yes.
A lot of that eye candy that Ralph was talking about with the direct snaps and the jet motion sweep. Sometimes they had 2 fumbles this past week. And so if we can get a short field, when we get that, if we get it, we have to cash in.
Yeah,
we got to cash in.
Yeah.
You cannot have those and let them hold us to nothing. We must get points.
Definitely get points. Definitely. Do we have to stretch the field against these guys?
Well, the reason I said that we're going to get some outside shots, some one-on-one shots,
Right.
their defense is feast or famine.
Okay.
They're bringing the house. So you got to take those shots. Because at best, those are 50-50 balls. You put them up and let your guy go for it. You may win some of those. If you win some of those, they potentially become big plays that can be home run plays.
Right.
But we've got to
take them out because they are an early team.
Exactly.
Take that away from them.
Yeah.
Or send a message that you will threaten them in that regard.
Right. Definitely. So, what about screen game?
Listen, I'm always.
That's why I asked. I know.
I was hoping you didn't say that.
I didn't want to go there, But I've always been a guy. You become student of the game by watching the game, and if people are bringing pressure on you, you have to have pressure release plays. You have to have total screens, draws. That's why I'm saying quarterback draws. Quarterback draw. Like you're gonna set up the pass, you got to run and quarterback use his legs.
Right.
You got to do something to alleviate them bringing that kind of pressure on you. They're gonna bring more than you can block. They know they're gonna bring more. They know they're gonna send more to you. They know that one of our weaknesses. They're looking at those same stats. They know we don't run it well, so they're gonna try to bring more than we can block. And in those instances, we got to have plays that seek to use their aggression against them.
Like you said, hit right behind them.
But yes, when the linebackers vacate, you have somebody replacing, going right there with a short pass. It doesn't have to be 40, 50 yards downfield. Short pass, yards after catch. Yak. That's the word this week.
See, it's just like if you remember when we played Savannah State, we had our guys run to the pylon.
Right.
And just sit down. And that worked really good for us. And that's what we got to do against Bama State.
Definitely have to do.
Now, guys, I hate to bring this up, but we're talking SWAC football. This is homecoming.
Can't be close.
This is homecoming. If you leave it in the strike guys' hands, okay? If you know where I'm going with
I
this.
was waiting on it.
I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. If you leave it in the stripe guys' hands, who are looking at us as a low-feeding kind of team, they're not supposed to win. We're gonna have to win the football.
And just pray we don't get that cross-eyed referee.
Hey.
The one who's when he spots like he's kind of inebriated.
He cross-eyed. That's what it is.
That's why what I'm saying is we're gonna have to bring our A game and play the perfect game. We got to be very smart and not beat ourselves because we're not gonna get a lot of help.
We aren't gonna get any.
Right.
We're gonna have to take it. We're gonna have to go in there and take it. And we're capable of doing that.
Guys, we're going to take this quick break. You're listening to the Hail Wildcats Gridiron Show on Joy 106.3 FM. before we went to our commercial break, we were discussing ASU football. That'll take us right into our ASU scouting report. Bethune-Cookman currently holds the lead in this contest, 11-6 in the series. They nipped us last year 37-22 here in Daytona Beach. While playing in Montgomery, they are 4-3 against the Wildcats. Alabama State has 18 players from the state of Florida on their squad. Two of them are former Wildcats. Aurelius Dunn and Desmond Daniels, both offensive linemen. And then John Harrell, come out of Mainland last year while playing wide receiver there for Alabama State. I got Tyrone Franklin hails from there, Chris Loving, Cole Chapman, Peyton Nero, all Alabama guys. So it's a homecoming of sorts for a lot of people. What atmosphere does that create for players on both teams? Someone you're familiar with, like on sideline to sideline.
Well, I'm certain the Bethune-Cookman guys who are at Bama State feel welcome where they are, and I know that they'd love to get back, at us, in terms of leaving us. Don't know all the reasons why they left us. John Harold is a kid that just broke my heart to see him go away from here, but more importantly, going to a team that we were going to play, like Bama State. So he's not been really featured as much. He's a freshman. He's a talented player. There's no doubt about it. We all know that all too well, and what he did leading Mainland to the championship of football game of the state playoff last year. He's a big-time football player. But I think those kids, just as the 4 kids we have on our roster going back to Alabama, it's a special thing for them. They're going to have family, friends in the stadium. So it'll be a real reacquaintance of some sorts, with the people. But between the lines, those 60 minutes that we're playing football, it's going to be an all-out blood battle at that point in time.
We already have our spies there. Mr. and Miss Lodge have already touched down in Montgomery.
So, have they?
Yeah, definitely. So
there are the running backs that Bama State features, and they feature a trio of excellent running backs, and then the quarterback adds into that because Demetrius is a 4-star quarterback coming out of high school who's known more for running than throwing.
Last week they combined for a season high 268 yards on 50 attempts, 2 touchdowns on the day. One guy Harris had 10 carries for 83 yards with a 46-yard run and 1 touchdown himself. So slowing that down. Yeah,
the other guy, there's 3 of them, Jalen Sultan. I saw his 33-yard touchdown. They all run hard. They run the football hard, and they run between the tackles, and they can get out to the edge. But where they do most of their damage is right up the middle. And then you look at Demetrius' quarterback. The quarterback, he ran 13 times for 58 yards.
Right.
So he's a big part of the run game.
Like you said, you gotta
be able to corral it and keep it from running directly up the middle because he can take it to the house.
Definitely so.
They're stout on defense also. You see those?
They're ranked second in the SWAC in rush defense. 8th in FCS.
They pride themselves on stopping the run. So that's why I'm saying we're going to have to be with the quick game and find creative ways to move this football. Don't think you're going to just run it on them when they know you're going to try to run it. They'll be ready for that.
Right.
We got to run when they're not expecting us to run.
Yeah.
3rd in scoring defense also, 19th in FCS. So gotta.
And Ryan Lewis, who's a Cookman grad and the defensive coordinator for them, he's taking this personal. It's against his alma mater, but he definitely wants to show well in that regard.
Oh yeah, definitely so.
If we just keep focus and keep this game close through the first half, this team is not a second half team.
Gotcha.
And that's going to work to our advantage because all the games I've seen Bethune play this year, they played from the start of the clock to the end of the clock. So,
like to welcome to the show the creator, Mr. Jerry Bell. Welcome to the show, Jerry.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
How's it going this evening, sir?
All is well, man. Just ready for some Wildcat football this weekend, and I think I'm going into it a little bit different than Ralph said. We got to go in there and keep it close. I don't want to go and keep it close. I want to go and beat these boys up. If you look at if sometimes stats lie, we get that right.
Right.
Alabama State has not scored. They've only got they scored 20 points one time. All the other games, they've been under 20 points.
Right, yeah.
Now, they don't have any Power 5 teams on their schedule. They don't have any Group of 5 teams on their schedule. So that's being low offensive production against, 3 SWAC opponents and a Division II opponent. And so, they don't score a whole lot of points. So, the first team to 24 just might win this game. And so, let's get there first and try to stay out of a LSU Alabama 9-6 contest and see if we can get this going and force them to kind of get out of what they want to do, and that's to be a running team.
Yes,
no question about that, Jerry. And a number of their points have been generated by their defense. They've had a couple of INTs that have been run back for touchdowns. They had 2 of them against Miles, Division II team that came back and beat them in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Was down by 2 scores and came back and won it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's an excellent observation.
Watch that game online.
Yeah, an excellent observation in terms of looking at who they've played and versus who we've played with having the teams that we've had to go up against who are Power 5 teams. Versus the fact that we both played one Division II team. They played Miles and lost. We played Savannah State and won. But other than that, everybody else that they've played has been on their own level.
Right, and they struggle. But it's football's a funny sport, right? Because you look at Alabama State and look at their team. They may very well have the best defensive player in the conference, in Colton Adams.
Yeah, he's good.
Who is that boy can flat out ball at linebacker. And then on the offensive side, they might have the best skill player in the conference, and the receiver, Keyshawn Johnson. Yep. So that guy he's a freak. He's leading the conference. As much as they struggle passing the ball, he's still the top receiver in the entire conference. So he might have, again, the best defensive and the best offensive skill player in the entire conference, but the rest of the team, they just can't seem to pull the dial, seat up, and get things flowing. We're certainly hoping that they don't figure it out this weekend against us, but I like our chances against these guys.
Well, the one thing that we know, that the best part of our football team that we've seen so far is our defense, and defense usually travels. I don't want them to make a lot of yards, but I don't mind giving up yardage from the 20 to the 20. But I like the fact that we've been able to keep people out of the end zone,
right?
And stay in the football game in that regard. And again, I like the idea of making people have to go the long field and not getting stuff quick, big chunk plays. That bodes well. Is Bama State disciplined enough to go the long field and score on us? Well, they've shown they've had a difficult time scoring the football.
Right.
So hopefully we'll be in the football game. If we can win some of those other battles, turnovers, special teams, then we got a real good chance. This is a 50-50 ball game as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I think the team that figure out how to get plays will be the team that win this game. And so it's just one of those things. I mean, again, you like where both defenses are. Let's just say, Eddie Robinson coach team, they're going to play good defense. Bethune-Cookman, so far, defense looked really good. Even last game, I know we gave up some yards running, but we were willing to give that up to them because it never felt like Jackson State was going to just drive the ball and score, except for that, the play. But, I like how we match up against these guys. I think whichever schemes up or player go up that find those explosive plays to flip the field or maybe get some long touchdowns, I think that's the team that that find a way to win this game. And so, we got to be the guys that figure out how to do that, rather it's defensive turnover, rather it's, like you said, yardage, on special teams, or we just scheme something up offensively to be able to get our guys free and loose to be able to flip field position and get those explosive plays. But to me, that's what I'm looking for. Who can get the explosive plays in this matchup?
I think that's an excellent point. The other thing, I remember the game last year, we led the game into the second half.
Yeah.
And I would caution our staff to be very wary of the onside kick. They turned that football game around on us last year with the onside kick. They stole a possession from us. So we need to be very mindful of that as well. But if we can win in the turnover battle, and we can, win in the special teams department, don't give them anything cheap. Put that football on the ground like we did against Jackson State. We got to have good ball security and not give up anything in that regard. This is a ball game. We'll be right there to have a respectable chance to take it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, that'll take us right into our Alpha One staffing game plan versus ASU. If you're Coach Gerbino, what do you have to do? Give me your game plan, your mindset going into that game.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to play for what they give me. I'm going to use my short passes as runs. I'm going to get my tight end, my H-back into the game, and I'm going to be talking to my quarterback, is getting rid of the ball quickly. So, because if we could keep them on the field and keep our defense off the field, I think we're going to win the game.
You'll flip it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Ralph's theory there. I'd like to change some of the tendencies a little bit.
Okay.
Show something that we have not shown, whatever that is. Again, the quick game has to be in place. Like I said, if we're making first downs in this football game, I feel good. If we're going 3 and out, if we're talking about 0 for 13 on third down, that's not a recipe to win this football game.
No.
And actually, all we have to do is 50% on third down. I'm sorry, Jerry, go ahead. 50% on third down.
Yeah, I think, if my game plan, my mindset, if I'm the offensive coordinator going into this, if I'm Gerbino, I think, if you have to be honest with where we are to this point in the season, we haven't proven that we line up and run the ball on anybody. We haven't proven that yet. Doesn't mean we can't, but we haven't proven that. And you look at the other defense, you say they have proven that they can play good defense. So to me, I think you have to motion yourself. You got to scheme yourself open. And that's not just in the pass game, that's in the run game too. So I would love to see a lot more motion, to just try to get to the edge quickly, and a lot more jet motion, a lot more, formation in guys and shifts and that sort of stuff, because we just want to figure out a way that we can outflank you and start picking up some cheat yards. The more we can get those guys guessing, the more that we can get those, again, looking for those explosive. Again, we haven't proven yet that we can just put our hands in the dirt, drive people off, and establish ourselves. So if you can't do it that way, you gotta motion yourself, you gotta formation yourself into some open space.
Ralph, you've just been nominated as a defensive coach, and Jerry, you've been nominated as an offensive coach by Taji.
Taji has always made good decisions.
Yeah, Steven, I don't know, brother. All right, so we've covered the offensive side in dudes. What are some of the don'ts as the OC?
As the OC now?
Yes, still don't. Still OC, but don'ts. We had our do's. What's don't do?
Trying to force things that aren't there.
Get behind the chains.
Calling plays that put us in a negative situation.
Exactly.
That's why I was saying the quarterback run game. We've not done a lot of that. I think the quarterback run game is going to be very important for us. When Jerry talks about outflanking people, changing tendencies just a little bit, show something you've not done on film.
Exactly. And
you see, don't do is that we cannot over rely on trying to run the ball in between the guards and the guard. Like most of our call runs are right up the gut, inside runs. And so but most of our successful run plays have been off tackle. So don't just try to, get so caught up in your own tendencies and what you've already predetermined that you're going to do, that we're going to run the ball inside no matter what. I get that. You want to establish a run, but we cannot over rely on, we can't be too predetermined. We gotta take what's there and get the ball, run the ball off tackle. That's where our success has been in running the ball.
In addition to that, though, we got to be mindful of who we have at quarterback and stay within what he does best.
Right.
We got to design this game for him
around his skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Jerry says, if you watch us, if we're running that football into the middle consistently, those are wasted downs to me.
Yeah. Pretty much.
They really are. What we need to, if you look at our formation, 90% of the time we're in what we call a split zone where we got the H-back in the backfield. Right. And so with that split zone, you can run the outside zone better because you got that H-back as an extra box, as an extra blocker that you can run up into the hole. We need to be showing some of that and running it like that sometimes with just the quarterback keeping it, running a quarterback power.
There you go. What and we'll shift to our defensive side here in just a second, guys. Are we capable of making all of that happen from what you guys have seen?
I think we're more than capable. We just gotta plan it in. We could do it, but like I think it's either Jerry or Larry said earlier. If you look at our runs, they're always up the gut. We hardly ever go.
It's wasted plays.
It's wasted plays. You either what I've seen happen to us, we're either going to get no yards or we're going to cough the ball up. That's what we did against Jackson State.
You're listening to the Hail Wildcats Gridiron Show on Joy 106.3 FM, Daytona's #1 gospel radio station. Guys, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. If you're Coach Wimberly, what are your dues?
Well, first of all, we got to learn on what we didn't do against Jackson State.
Okay.
We knew when we saw that formation what they were getting ready to do.
Every time. Every time. And they did too.
And if you look at Bama State, when they're going to do it, they're going to have the same line. They're going to show it.
They run that unbalance out of the double tight end with some eye dressing where they bring up the back who split out. Mm-hmm. They bring him back across the formation. But what they're really trying to do, they're trying to outflank, get you to look outside. But they really want to go off tackle with
That's
that
where they want to
play.
go.
With the quarterback, with the quarterback keeping the football, or sometimes they'll just run the back on a dive off tackle.
Right.
They're trying to get a quick hitter. So we've got to be very sound in our gap fit concept so we can take that away. We're going to probably play too high safety. I don't mind the too high safety. Mm-hmm. Just shield the side where Keyshawn Johnson is. Keep a safety over the top of him because we know he's a big kid who can get the football.
Yes.
And he can catch it in crowds. But that other safety has got to be able to come down in the box to be aware of that run that's coming that way. So if we can do those things, again, make Bama State earn it. Give them no short field. Make them drive that football 75, 80 yards. I don't think they can do it against our defense.
I don't think so either.
No, neither. Yeah. No, I agree with that, Larry. I think that's it right there. I had no problem with the game plan against Jackson State. Even though we didn't quite adjust to that, to the play that they got all their big yards out of. Obviously, to me, it was a numbers game. I don't think you have to radically change what you do because, again, the idea is make them put together 13 plays, and we don't think you can. Yeah. So we don't want to give up anything cheap by getting. But again, some of that is just awareness on behalf of your safety play. Is You got to read your cues, and when you see that that's a run, you got to be the extra hat in the box. Now, if that's because, you know, they do some things with alignment, if you're talking about the safety that's away from Keyshawn, you know, instead of being 15 yards deep or 12 yards deep, maybe he's hanging around 8 so he can, you know, be that extra hat in the box. There's some things that you can do without fundamentally changing your approach schematically. There's some things you can do in some alignment that allow you to be a 6.5 people in the box or a 7.5 instead of, you know, an 8-man box. You know, you kind of split the difference, right? So you can get down and support the run, but you can still retreat and, you know, and cover the pass without fundamentally changing, you know, your approach defensively. So, you know, some of that is just awareness and snaps from the safety of knowing what's going on and reading what's happening. Well, otherwise, you got your linebackers that just keep getting outflanked. They're already undersized, and now you got them outflanked and outgunned, and you got to get some help somewhere. So, I just like to see those safeties get a little bit more active.
Well, if they ran it 50 times last week against Alcorn, and Alcorn has size and inside that we don't have, you know they're going to run it at us. You can already count on that, just like Christmas is coming. Okay,
268, I think, on the
268 on 50 attempts, and that it was a line of scrimmage football game, and that's what they were going to make it. And they're going to try to do the same thing with us.
For 50 snaps running,
50 snaps running the football.
Yeah,
we're going to get at least 50.
Well, they don't have a choice. They can't throw it.
They can't.
That's the other part of it.
That's what Johnson gets so frustrated about.
Which again, to my point, is if you're that safety, there's no sense of just going out there and guarding grass. I mean, the grass ain't going nowhere. It's going to be there next week. You know, it's a football game. At some point, you got to go and put your hat in the box. And I'm not going to call any names, but we do have some safeties that's more willing to put their hat on people than others. And, you know, one of them out there, I'm like, he's a decent football player, but he don't like the tackle part of this football game. He'd be better at flag. But I need whoever they put back there's got to be somebody that's willing, and these are big. You got to be willing to put your hat on somebody. Yeah. So,
this is going to be a contrast of styles. It really is. Yeah. But we've proven we have a pretty smart defense. We really do. We give up yardage.
Yeah.
But
we just have to adjust more to some things and quicker. Quicker adjustments to what's being thrown at us.
And if we can get some turnovers from our defense in this game, that will help our offense immensely.
Yes.
Starting field position.
Yeah, I tell you what will help the defense immensely, playing with a lead.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about
you know, you find a way to go up a couple of scores on these guys, and they can't afford to. I mean, they might, but then you're willing to give them that. But, you know, then running the ball 50 times is not necessarily the best way to come back. So, you know, this is kind of that complementary football, right? You know, you get out, you play with you focus on doing whatever you got to do to scheme up some things early to force them to get out of what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, and create some kind of doubt and panic on their part where they start changing the game plan a little bit because they know they know that they're challenged to score. Exactly. And if we get up a couple of scores or something like that's going to factor in there some kind of way.
You know who else know that they challenged to score? Those 25,000 people that's going to be in the stands. And there is something about going on the road and delivering a team that's struggling, or any kind of team. You put them in that situation where you start getting that nervous energy from the crowd. It starts to suck the life out of the home team sometimes. I mean, so obviously you want the home field advantage when things are going well, but that nervous energy, you can feel it. And so you wind up going out there and they start playing from behind, and that crowd's going to be like, somebody better do something. But you can feel that. So sometimes, you know, being that road team, you got to embrace that and make that nervousness from the crowd, you know, make those teams play through that.
Well, the other part of that is homecoming. What do we know about HBCU homecoming games? They don't always stay for the home game, okay?
No, they're going to be gone.
Right after halftime.
Right after halftime, the band performs. We're trying to get up on the yard, see folks, et cetera, et cetera. So, like you said, Ralph, the longer we stay in the game, if God forbid we're controlling the game, that crowd's going to get out of there a little early.
All right, guys. We covered the do's on defense. What about the don'ts before we get to our call-in segment?
No big plays.
No shot plays. No. We cannot give up something we've not done all year long. Nothing over the top. Nothing big. And we with this team, we can't give up the big running play that goes for a home run. We need to shut that down. We need, keep the running game under control. Give up yards if you're gonna give it up grudgingly, but no home run plays. Make them go the long way. If we can do that, take the crowd out of the game. Get that nervous energy Jerry was talking about. Those all bode well for us.
And get off the field on third down.
Absolutely.
Get off the field. Don't do anything silly.
Can't throw no helmet?
You can't pull the helmet off.
You can't pull it off. You can't go hit a guy who,
Here we go.
And you can't put 13 guys on the field.
Y'all. I know y'all. I knew that was coming. I knew we were headed down that road.
You have a meltdown. You have a meltdown like the guy at UAB.
We don't want to make ESPN for the wrong reasons.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
All right, guys. Let's move special teams. Dudes.
Run some kicks back. Run kicks back. We got the all SWAC returner. Run some kicks back. Take a chance.
Play field position. In the punting game, kicking game. Don't kick it short. Put it back there in the end zone. Make them drive the field if they're going to drive the field.
Drive the field. Exactly.
Like you say, returns.
We gotta get the return man going.
We gotta pick up our blocks when we're punting the ball and extra points, things of that nature. They've been known to block a few. They blocked a couple.
Blocked and ran back for touchdown last week.
Right.
So they're very good. Think about it now. Ryan Lewis was here when we were blocking kicks.
That's right.
Okay, so he's incorporated that into the scheme that Bama State has.
Right.
So we got to be sound. We need to win the kicking game, not play even.
Right.
We need to win.
We need to win it. We don't need to give up any block kicks or anything. And as Ralph said, we need to be able to run some kicks back.
Yeah. And listen, but if you're Alabama State, I agree. We need to run some kicks back. I think if you're Bethune-Cookman, if you're DJ McCarthy, the special teams coordinator, you got to expect that Bama State's going to test out if your up men can field the ball.
Yeah.
It's a part of the game that special teams often get overlooked, but we were never really comfortable with our up men fielding that ball against Jackson State. They kicked the ball to us 4 times. Yeah. One of them we didn't recover, and 2 or 3 more. It was almost a 50-50 as to who was going to, so we got to, hopefully they focused on that this week, and hopefully they got some personnel in there who realize that you might get hit when you play football, and so you're going to have to catch it, fall on it, do something. But if I'm Bama State, I'm not kicking the ball to Darnell Dees until you've proven to me that your up men can actually field the ball.
Well, that was certainly seen on film, so they saw it. And they will probably, like we said earlier, they got an onside kick last year against us that turned the football game around. So we need to be very, very aware of that going into this football game.
What are some don'ts? I know we covered a couple of them, but you got any don'ts?
Don't turn the football over regardless. I mean, literally, we need to play clean football, and clean for me would be no turnovers.
Right.
In any regard. If we do those kind of things, those bode well for us being victorious.
Exactly, yeah.
No,
guys,
no illegal participation.
One of the things that I'll maybe the fantasy of watching so much, not a fantasy of watching some of the football games, but the fantasy of being an armchair quarterback. I would always, and Daryl, you can speak to this probably better than any of us because of where you played football in college. always have you a gadget player in your pocket.
Oh, you got to.
You got to have.
Hunt
You got to have something. Got to have something that you can go to and sprinkle on somebody that they've not seen, totally unexpected.
Right.
I think you got to have that.
You have to have it because you never know. I mean, I know we're going back to last year, a la Florida Classic.
Oh, yeah.
When you're least expecting it, you're thinking you're getting the ball back, and and it was just a simple fake punt.
Literally. You got to have some of those in your pocket. And I got to be honest, I've not seen us. I didn't see it with Terry's regime, and I don't know whether it's with this regime or not. But I just think those are momentum plays that turn a football game on its head.
Big time.
And great coaches
for a big contest like this, especially at homecoming. If you pull a cat out of the hat.
Because this game is actually important, very, very important for both teams.
Right.
Bama State stop a 3-game losing streak, and Bethune-Cookman to get it rolling and win the first and win their first
both teams
game.
Coming in at
we need this. They need it,
and winning it on the road, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if we can win the following week, we might be getting a little gift.
Couple gifts.
A couple
gifts.
But we need to win this one because if we win out, we could be into this thing.
And for all the fans that are asking, no, Mr. Ransom will not be available this week. So we'll have to wait to see on that. If you had the question. So there it is. Overall, you just have to play a sound football game, do what we have to do in every aspect of the game.
And don't beat ourselves.
That's it. The biggest thing is, as we have alluded to a couple of times, is finishing.
Guys, we know we go into this football game with a very disciplined football team.
Right.
I can truly say that. Yes. I don't know that Bama State feels the same way about themselves in that regard, nor have they shown that. So if we keep the penalties low as we've always done this year, we clearly are the more disciplined ball club, even if you just look at the penalties per game. Right.
So, I mean, it's anybody's ball game as anytime we go out on the field, but if you play that disciplined ball, and of course, like we say, they're definitely looking for a win. It's homecoming, so you just have to take them out of their game. They're going to do some things good, and you just have to counteract that every time.
Exactly. Yeah.
If we can get them to a point where we put that doubt in their mind, they know how they've lost the last 3 games. If you can put that doubt back in their minds in that regard, again, that bodes well for us.
Definitely so. We want to hear from you fans. It is now time for Say It With Your Chest, our live call-in segment. Call-in number is 386-868-3411. 386-868-3411. We want to hear from you. We're talking Wildcat football on the Hail Wildcats Gridiron Show. What's your game plan for going into this contest and winning it? Bringing us to 2-3 on the season. 386-868-3411. Ralph, what you looking for? More stats over there?
I'm looking for more good stats.
Ralph's trying to find offense in the stats.
That's what I'm looking for.
That's what he's looking for.
I know it's there. I just got to find it.
You got to find it.
As and this is not to pick on Coach Gerbino. Well, the question is being asked, and I'll answer the question. Will Sprague or Bethea be available for this game? Not to get into lineups or anything, but Bethea will be available for this game on a as needed basis. Luke Sprague will not. But some good things are on the horizon. We'll leave it there. Good things are on the horizon. So.
Any other quick injury update from things that you guys were aware of? We kind of had quite a few guys that were down last week. Some guys that were not out or went out early. Any update on their status for this game?
As we said earlier, Brazil, I don't think we'll have him. He'll be questionable. Probably a kickoff decision, but I don't think
the same thing with possibly with Sparrow. He might be a game time decision.
Yeah.
Also,
he was a little more active than
Brazil.
most of them, but yeah.
Well, Sparrow gonna be something. He gonna be the starting safety or the starting water boy. He can't stay still, man.
No, he cannot. He's gonna hold signs up at the game or whatever for the defense. I mean, just whatever you need him to do. That's the type of young man.
She had 12 of him.
Yeah, definitely. Other than that, Jerry, I think we have our slew of receivers. There's some questions with the interior line on the O-line, but I think we should be all right there. Just a couple little nicks and things there, but other than that, we should be good on that side of the house. On the defensive side, same thing, a couple little nicks. Our linebackers are healthy. Our DBs are pretty healthy. And we have great depth on the D-line, so hopefully that will factor in for us on Saturday.
We're playing a very physical defense, and I hope that by the scheduling that we've had so far going up against the two Power 5 schools, that will help us, because Bama State is very physical with their defense. They're very, in the trenches, they're very, very aggressive. So hopefully we'll be able to match that physicality.
The question was, when are we going to use our big wide receivers? I think it goes a little bit to, first we have to get the guys who are in there, which are the tight ends, in more of the play. If they're going to be in there, we got to get them into more of the offense. We saw a little more use of the big guys this week in practice, but ultimately they got to catch the ball.
That's an excellent question, though.
I think
Jerry said earlier, this really is a scheme game.
Right.
This is what this really is. I mean, we know what we're getting from Bama State defensively.
Yes.
Now, how do we scheme to counteract that in
the
ways
key.
that we've not shown so far? That's the key to the game. One of the major keys.
386-868-3411. 386-868-3411. We're talking Wildcat football on the Hail Wildcats Gridiron Show. We want to hear from you. We want to know what's your game plan going into this contest this week. We want to know what your game plan is. We've talked about it all night, but we just have to show it. We just have to show it. 386-868-3411. 386-868-3411. So let's back up a minute. Jerry, you have something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, just kind of go back and just like to hear your opinion on this. Marcus asked, when are we going to use our big receivers? I think that's obviously you want your guys to be the biggest, fastest, strongest people on the field. But I think the best two receivers that we have on our roster right now or at least two of the best three, are probably two of the smallest guys on the field, and Dakari Allen and, Jalen Terzado. So, again, Davino's a good receiver. We got some guys who can play. Those aren't the only ones. But, I don't want to just fall in love with an idea, use the big receivers because they're big when, the smaller guys are outperforming them. That's what you got to put on the field.
Yeah, and there's some question marks there with the big guys.
To piggyback on what Jerry just mentioned then, and also what he opened up his commentary with this evening, do you really want to get into a phone booth football game with these guys?
Absolutely not.
No, we want to play the game in space.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, using our quickness to get to the edge, et cetera, et cetera. But if it's a phone booth game, I don't know if we're equipped in the trenches to battle like that with this ball club.
Right.
Yeah, we want to spread it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't be pound for pound champs with them. You can't. you know, blow after blow is not who we are.
I mean, you can test them on downs where you run it where you don't think they think you're going to run it,
right,
you know, inside.
right.
But other than that, we're a Florida team. We have speed. You know, let's play the game in space.
Right. Take the top off. Everything you have to do. 386-868-3411. 386-868-3411. We want to hear from you on the Hail Wildcats Gridiron Show. Mr. Ralph. What you thinking about over there, big guy?
I'm just thinking about Saturday. My whole mind is on Saturday.
So you going to the game, Ralph?
I'm gonna try to make it. My plans are to go. Thank you, Daryl.
Hey, no problem. How about yourself, Mr. Wesley?
No, guys, I was trying to make it. I really was, but there's a funeral I need to go to Saturday.
Understood.
And a guy who I've known for a long, long time tragically passed here, and it's going to be a pretty big funeral here in Daytona. One of the great Campbell Street Spartans.
Yes, sir.
I mean, centipedes.
Yes,
and a
sir.
Spartan also, for that fact.
Initially a Spartan.
Initially a Spartan.
Yeah.
But just one of the really good guys, R2 Williams. And so I'm going to try to go ahead and make that.
Yeah.
Mr. Bale, how about yourself?
The Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I will be in Montgomery.
There you go.
We shouldn't be talking about creek rising in Montgomery.
No.
They got folding chairs. So
Yeah,
Folding chairs,
Yeah.
and hats being thrown up in there, you know.
yeah.
you know.
Down to the river.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. We need to remind our buddy Ralph that they do throw hats in the air in Montgomery. I don't want to have to fight with you, man. Not with you, but next to you. Yeah, so I'm gonna need you to calm down, sir.
Well, guys, you know, I'm going to be watching this game. I don't want to see you guys make ESPN, okay? please, I don't want to see. Oh, there's the X's and O crew. They made it to the big time.
For all the wrong
Hey,
reasons.
what Taji at? She like Ralph. She'll help him fight.
Leave my friends alone, Jerry. Leave my friends alone.
Ralph, Miss Lodge says she's waiting on you, buddy.
See, Miss Lodge is my friend, too. You guys might have to hide behind us.
386-868-3411. 386-868-3411. It'll be great to see, as we said, a lot of our Wildcats on the other side of the field, including seeing Coach Sims over there on Alabama State's sideline.
So right, but I was about to say, even with that, but Bethune-Cookman and Bama State have always had a good relationship.
Oh,
Yes.
great
For
relationship.
years,
And
literally.
it's not just on the field. I mean, we have
Yeah.
Cookman people up in their administration, all kind of stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
So
Now, I wouldn't say that about Bama State and FAMU.
No.
But certainly with us, you know.
Right.
You know?
Right. It's
We've not had that.
it's all love. You know, when you're between the benches, you know, it's a football game.
That's
but
it.
there's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of love. Homecoming for them, as we've mentioned, and yes, there is Hail Wildcats or Let's Go Wildcats. It's taking a bus up there, and we got quite a bit of fans who are traveling up with us to watch that contest. So still seats available. Go on letsgowildcats.org. Book your seat today for that trip up to Alabama State. 386-868-3411. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, for those that haven't been up to Montgomery, listen, Bama State has some of the best facilities in HBCU football, if not the best
They do.
across the board. I think you can kind of throw them and Prairie View in there together with their football stadium, the basketball stadium, the basketball arena. I mean, they just have some really, really nice facilities. And, you know, for those who, you know, remember Bethune days in the MEAC, you know, the Orangeburg was a trip that fans made often, go up to see South Carolina State. The trip to Montgomery is really same kind of trip, about the same distance, nice drive. The people there, you know, they good fans, nothing that make you not want to come back, that sort of thing. So, you know, if you can find a way over there, if you're in Atlanta hey, it's a short drive. Get there. If you in North Florida, get there. So it really is a nice drive and a good outing for a football game.
It definitely is.
Well, I remember it was Jerry was talking about that. I was thinking back, flashing back over 50 years ago, maybe 51 years ago. One of my first real trips with the football team. We were playing Bama State in 1971. They were the first school, the first HBCU school that I had, even, maybe not so much today, but back in the day. They had 2 cafeterias on campus, big cafeterias. And I had never seen anything like that. So when we got ready to go, we had practice, this was back in the day, just at the cusp of integration, because prior to that time, they weren't letting college kids, other teams, stay in hotels. You had to stay on campus. And so this was the first year we actually stayed in a hotel, but we ate on campus. And I remember coming in to the cafeteria with the football team, to eat. And they had the ladies working behind the counters. They were like grandmother types who probably lived in the community. And the lady saw me, she said, "Baby, you play with the team. You
Thought Larry was a quarterback.
I never will forget. She said, "You're kind of puny." I'm gonna fix you 2 plates. Who was standing beside me? But Willie Lee Foots. And Foot said, "Yeah, ma'am, feed him 2 plates because I need to eat some of his food." but it was just so incredible to see the kind of cafeteria arrangements that they had, and good food, really good food.
What's their enrollment?
Oh, they're a big school. I
see, Ralph.
I think they got to be somewhere near 6,000, at least 6,000 students, maybe more than that, maybe. But they were big in the SIAC, Ralph. They were one of the largest schools in the SIAC back in the early 70s when we were in school. So I know they're somewhere near in that range of 6,000 people easily, maybe more like 7 now. And a big facility. A big campus,
I've
really,
been on the campus.
really good sized campus.
Yeah, we found out 2 years ago.
It was a long ways to walk. They don't let you get nowhere near that stadium.
A historical
and every
campus
time I've
too.
been up there, I've seen some guy on a tractor somewhere around the stadium, which is that's just always. I'm always looking for the man on the tractor. So. Marcus asked the question comparing this season to last year. Has anyone seen a big difference in the play calling with the offense? I think it's way too early to tell on that.
I agree, Jerry.
From my opinion, and I'll say that again, I don't even get how I'm saying this. I don't even consider a real snapshot of who we are except for one game this season, and that was Jackson State. All those other games, what happened against Miami, and Savannah State was really we were preserving ourselves for the conference season. And so, and then we go into the Jackson State game and you get really your top 2 quarterbacks hurt on a short week.
Yeah, you gotta,
kind of not knowing and not being able to prepare a full game plan. So I think it's way too early to really compare. In my opinion, I hope that doesn't sound like an excuse. It's not an excuse, but I think it's a legitimate explanation, because we haven't seen the full playbook open up. So that's my opinion, at least.
And Jerry, that's absolutely correct. You threw a whole monkey wrench in a offensive coordinator who this was his first, not giving him a pass, but this is his first year, in SWAC football, in at this level of football, and then you throw a bigger wrench at him with, pre-fall practice, he's getting some guys ready in pre-fall practice, and then all of a sudden
you take his first 3 options away. I mean,
so and we see him at practice. He kind of raises that hat and kind of rubs his head a little bit, and
I mean,
it's not for the weak-hearted at practice.
I think it's going to make him a better coach, though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
because now he has to flip the switch and go another route, which I think is going to make him a better coach.
Well, I said it last week, and I'll say it again this week. I think the way the schedule fell out, we're probably, with the exception of Florida A&M, and I still think the book is still out on FAMU. I hear Ralph talking about that dark cloud defense sometimes. You know, I don't know how good that defense is or not, but I can tell you the two of the most physical defenses, Jackson State and Alabama State. We're getting those two right out the gate. Nobody's going to blitz any more than those two teams are going to blitz.
And this is our 5th game, and we've only played 1 game at home.
Exactly. So how we manage this football game, how we scheme this game up, how we call this game, how we execute it offensively, this will tell me a little bit more, in that regard.
Yeah. And guys, you've heard me say, I thought, and I think, I've said all along that really how we navigate these first 2 SWAC games is really going to tell us a lot about our season. That was the Jackson State game and Alabama State, because of how the season set up, right? Those first 3 games, 2 teams bigger than us, 1 smaller than us, and then we get 2 SWAC games on the road against 2 good defenses.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We leave Jackson, and everybody in maroon and gold, and 90% of the people in blue and white with a little bit of red on it thought that Jackson State got away with one. That was not only a winnable game, but a game that Bethune-Cookman should have won.
Yep.
We had fans at Jackson State tell us, if y'all would have got that ball back, y'all were going to score and win. And that's what Jackson State fans were saying. And so now we get that. We navigate that. We don't come out on top. We go into Alabama State, and you feel another very, very, very winnable game. If you come out of this game with a win, all the rest of them are in the state of Florida minus Greg.
Yes, sir.
And there's nothing on the schedule that I look at and say, we don't match up well with them.
That's right.
So everything is still right in front of us, but you got to go out and win. I mean, we love the foundation that Coach Woody is laying. We love the things that we're seeing. At some point, you got to go from potential to actualization. And so, winning is contagious, but so is losing. And so what our guys got to do is get the taste of winning in their system, go out and win this game, know that those records from the last 2 years is not really indicative of what kind of program we have. Get that taste of winning under their belt, come back to the state of Florida, and do what we do.
That's definitely it.
That's it in a nutshell. That's why I said so. It'll be so interesting to see how we manage this football game.
It's going to be extremely
in every phase. Because there's nothing that I see after this game that really frightens me. I mean that. I mean, everybody points to the last game of the season, but that's a rivalry game. And how many times do we know in rivalry games expect the unexpected?
I can't even see that far though. I see Texas Southern.
I'm with you.
That's what I see in the horizon.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody behind Texas.
And listen, as tough as Alabama State is, from a physicality standpoint, Texas Southern is on the opposite end of the spectrum. We got to win this game.
Jerry, you got that right.
But that is not what you call
You got that right, Jerry.
We got to win this game.
I'm not dismissing Texas Southern, but I had already penciled them in, and especially now the body's not there. That's a get right game, okay?
It definitely is.
Got to win this one first.
Got to win this one first. Yeah. And we're not trying to count ahead. We're taking them one at a time, but you have to look at the roadmap to see what's there. You get there one at a time.
Well, like I said earlier, this is the desperate game.
We're not coaches, though. We don't have to keep the team focused.
Right,
I'm with you.
Right.
I'm already counting them.
We got it.
But I'm counting this weekend. Yeah, that's the coach's job to keep them focused. I'm a fan. I'm saying we can win that one, that one, that one. But we gotta.
Jerry,
again,
we
I
still
think
have to
it's
keep
important
one
that we get
person
the taste to
focused
win it.
over there, brother.
You got one person got to keep focused.
Focus, in line, out of cuffs.
You know what? I tell you, I think I'm going to sit on the other side.
No, don't do that.
I'm going over to Alabama State side and sit with my friends.
I made a conscious decision. I said, I'm never going to call the crew the day of the game again, okay? I'll talk with them when I get back. I'm not dealing with that. I've been across that bridge.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
I'm not going to do that again.
Oh, God.
I'm going to leave that one alone.
Yeah, Larry, you did not do us any
No,
favors on that
didn't.
Memphis game. All right, we can't pick on Ralph. Miss Lodge say leave him alone.
Hey, Miss Lodge, thank you, but I'm okay.
She don't have to deal with him. You gotta have
I'm
some.
going to find Taj. I'm going to sit with her.
That's two of them together.
That's who I'm sitting with. I'm sitting with Taj. But again, as I was saying, though, this coming Saturday, you got two desperate teams. You got one team that don't want to go 0-4.
Right.
You got another team.
No, they're 1-3.
No, I mean,
yeah.
4 losses.
Right.
You got the other team who needs to show who they are, and put their stamp on that field and walk off and say, "We there. We're going to go forward." That's what we got to do.
Right. Even with the obstacles that have been there, hey, this is what we can do.
Coach Woody got to catch a break because he haven't got one thus far. You got to catch a break. So,
but I'll say this. We talked about. I know Steve posted something earlier. He was hoping that there was a quarterback starting other than Walter Simmons. But listen, when you go back and you watch that game, Simmons did not he didn't turn the ball over. I mean, he played. We just mentioned it. You go into that game, and the guy that you thought would start, and then his backup. Neither one of those guys are available. So when you talk about inserting your third option in at the starting quarterback, he played the way you would expect him to play. But it wasn't Walter Simmons' fault that we only had 50-something yards rushing. And so. Right. I think we'll get a bit better production out of him this week with the extra time, preparation. I want him to not try to force it, and again, there will be plays there to be made. But when it happens, he's got to execute. Receivers got to execute. The line's got to do their job. And so there'll be plays to be made. We just got to capitalize. And, again, success breeds success. You make 1 or 2, you got 3 or 4.
You got to execute when they present themselves. You got to make it happen in that regard.
It appears that all our fans aren't calling in. So I guess we answered all their questions. So we're doing a relatively good job.
We did. We went through a plethora of stuff, and
this is the first time in a long time we didn't get any call-ins.
These are the people at work who never talk in the conference call. They just hang out in the chat.
Yeah. Big homie say, don't let them whoop you, Ralph, just so you know.
See, I got friends. Y'all just don't know who they are. See, I got friends. Thank you, big homie. I got friends.
What big homie is that?
The big homie.
There's only one big homie.
That's a big homie.
Hey.
Okay, Ralph, you got somebody new on your boat, okay? Okay. I'm just going to let you know that. I'm going to just let you know that. So get ready, okay? It's just like that, okay?
Inside joke, fans. Inside joke.
Hey, listen, y'all. When Ralph walked through the metal detectors at the last game, they went off. He said he had steel in his knee. You had steel, but it wasn't in his knee.
It wasn't in his knee. Well, there's a question that was posed here. One of our listeners say they're confused. If Ponder beat out Simmons in the spring and Luke and Bethea came in late, why is Ponder not getting more time? I want to honestly answer that question. Okay.
Yeah, we can answer it. Absolutely.
in our observation, Ponder is not quite ready for
live bullets.
Yeah.
That's a fact. That's just what it is.
It's
just what it is.
It's one thing when, throws the ball great, does all
ball
that.
Ball comes off his hand like a pro.
Just isn't, quite there yet.
But I think we're going to see Pond in this game.
Oh, yeah, you'll see him.
We're going to see
You'll
Pond
see
in this
him,
game.
but it was always a quarterback battle. It was always a quarterback battle, and whoever wins out when it comes time to put it on the field, that's who's going to play.
Yeah. Well, as far as the Ponder versus Simmons thing, you can look as far back as just the last game, right? We talked about Simmons did not turn the ball over. Right. Ponder got in the game for one snap. We were in scoring position. You should just think we're in scoring position.
That touchdown could have won
under
the
2
game.
minutes left in the quarter.
We'd have won that game.
Yeah.
You got to manage the game. You got to manage the game. He comes in, he throws the ball. He should have been picked up by the linebacker. It was just a bad read. He never should have threw it. It was such a bad throw that the linebacker overran it. The ball gets deflected up by and then ultimately picked off. But, we score going into half.
Yeah,
I like our chances of winning that ball game.
You already are up 9-8
got
at that time. Yeah.
You got to manage that game.
Guys, I think
that's it. It's not a skill. It's managed.
I think you're right. Sometimes you can look at a game, or you can pick up the stats and not look at the game. If I hadn't seen that play, and I was looking at the play-by-play stats,
right,
there was something wrong with that play call.
Oh,
I don't know whether it was called 100%. or whether somebody checked it at. I just can't imagine we would bring a player in cold and have him throw the football. I don't believe that.
And when we say cold, we're talking about
ice.
Yeah, he came in cold.
He cannot go back and warm up as a quarterback because he's signaling in the plays. That was his job during that game, was to signal in the plays.
We may never know. But there's sometimes you will see a play that is so egregious, you wonder, where did that come from? Because you already have 3 in your pocket. You're in field goal range. So we'll never know in that regard. But again, the play was made. They intercepted. We didn't get a chance to score points. That was golden opportunity gone at that particular point in time.
One thing, there was very little pressure on that play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But one of the mistakes that he made, though, from the snap of the ball, he looked at that receiver he stared him down. And that's why the linebacker was able to make a jump on that ball, because he looked at him the whole time.
Right.
That's inexperience, but not his fault. But
that goes back to answer the question, progression.
He is the future, though.
Yeah.
He is the future.
This is a process and it's a repetition type of thing. You get better with opportunities in that regard. And as he gets more experience under his belt, his time to play will be right there. But that's why I keep saying right now, guys, regardless of who's playing the quarterback role right now for us, it really gets down to schematics, what we're going to do to keep these people safe and playing within the realm of their capabilities. That's what this whole thing is about.
There's a question, this is game 5. How much longer will we continue experimenting with quarterbacks? I mean,
we're not experimenting.
Our experiment was over.
We're not experimenting, though.
Our experiment's not, it was over, going into the Miami game, and then you had to open the not even open the competition back up. It's what you were, the hand that you were dealt, and you got to go with the next hot man up, and that's where we are right now.
Who's the most popular guy on the football team every year? The backup quarterback.
The backup quarterback. You would have never known about Kyle Trask if
absolutely
Franks doesn't get hurt.
Right. It's always that way.
Right.
Always that way.
Right. And like we said, there's a lot of in a season you don't think you're going to get down to that position of quarterbacks, and then then you have a new offensive coordinator who is totally, like I said again, totally new to this league. It's just I like where we are. It's a learning moment.
Yeah.
I like where we are. If you can deal with this early and work yourself out of it, then the rest of it's history.
I mean, because if the two guys don't get injured in Miami, we wouldn't even have this conversation.
No.
I mean, but that's football.
No.
And who's to say they wouldn't have got injured in Jackson
Right.
or Alabama State with the pressure that's going to be brought by these ball clubs?
Right.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up, guys, and we just got to go with what we have.
You said it best there. I like where we are. We're coaching them up. We go every day. We see the teaching. We see the repetitions that they're getting. Jerry hit it on there. We got to go win a football game. We win a football game. That cures a lot of the
It
ills,
does.
Okay?
It makes
really
a lot
does.
of the ills go away. Makes a lot of the ills, and it answers a lot of the questions.
Of course.
That we all have.
Yeah.
It answers questions. Can we do it? Yes, we can.
Yeah.
That's what it can do.
I can clearly say this, and I think I could get a amen from the church on this. Our player development this year is far greater than anything that we've had in the last 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Easily. Easily.
And we don't even have. I mean, like I said, we lost some players early on that didn't even,
In fact,
get into the.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, just think about it. Just recount the last game, right? We just said it. You're down 2 quarterbacks that you thought would be available till you got hurt the week before. So you're down to your 3rd quarterback. Your starting running back got hurt. You had 2 offensive linemen that didn't travel. Starting offensive linemen that didn't travel. Your starting safety get hurt. So you did all of that, and really we were an extra man on the field away from getting the ball back with a chance to win. So, there's a lot going on as well. Shout out to Omari. He, during the game, you want Omari to hold the opposing receivers to no catches. But, he did a good job with Rico. Rico's the 2nd leading receiver in the SWAC.
Yes, he was.
And really, the only thing he gave up to him was a couple of possession routes, a couple of hitch routes. They tried to get him on the go, turned his hips, went and got an interception. So, our guys they're performing. They're performing. What we got to do now is we got to learn to finish. So I think we're right there. And now it's time to, again, put it all together and come back home. Instead of trying to say, what do we need to do to fix it? We need to be talking about what we need to do to sustain it.
That's it.
Former BCU player and brother of Christian Lovin just blocked a field goal for Western Kentucky. The D lineman who played here. Right. His brother is was center for us, I believe. Yeah, center for us. So.
Yeah.
He left before Woody arrived, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
almost said something. I'm going to keep that off the air. I'm just saying. I ain't started losing my hair until I was 30. That's all I'm saying.
So this question is targeted at Ralph, and it's targeted at Ralph for a specific reason.
Oh boy.
There is one of our fans who just asked, "Would you bet on this game?"
Only Jerry. Only Jerry.
Hey, listen, hold on.
I gave him a challenge and he didn't accept it.
So the question
Larry,
was from
you were just talking to the church. Let me talk to the church for a minute. I'm going to spare everybody the details, but as it comes to betting and gambling, let's just say Daryl had to remind Ralph that I was a preacher. That's all.
I tried to tell them they wouldn't know.
Wow, yeah. That was an after game moment right there.
Hey, after the game, they tell you they give you a 10-minute mandatory cool down before the players talk to the media.
Man,
Ralph needed a mandatory 10-minute
and then
cool down
some
before he talked to me.
plus some.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
We left one, guys.
Hey, but we traveled back together, and he didn't stab me, so it was all good.
No, yeah, we were able to get back, and yeah.
Guys, I'm going to tell you something. My years of broadcasting Bethune-Cookman football games, the emotion that I would feel when we lost, it was unbearable for me sometimes. And I wasn't even playing in the game. I was just broadcasting it. But you invest so much of yourself into it. And it hurts when when you see yourself so close and not get there. So I'm able to sit back and kind of laugh a little bit now because I don't have to be in the box and deal with that. But now I'm living vicariously through Ralph. Okay,
Definitely so.
Well, let me defend Ralph. To his point, part of his frustration was, listening at some of the chatter in the stands, knowing that Jackson State was at full strength, and I just kind of laid out that we were the walking wounded, and knowing it's like, man, we're not even wishing and hoping for another season. We're just saying if we were just anything close to full strength, this game will look completely different. That was part of the frustration is, listening to people talking like they're the Dallas Cowboys, and we're like, y'all struggling with us, and we basically limped into this game.
Right.
So I get it.
Guys, closing words. Ralph?
Well, we're going to go to Montgomery. Jerry, you and I are going to sit close together, and we're going to have fun and see us win this game. That's the way I see it.
I really feel good about this game. In fact, I feel a little bit better about this ball game than I felt against Jackson, and I felt good about Jackson. I really thought that Jackson was there to be had before we played them, and I really believe this is the same opportunity we have in this football game to bring home a W, to get out. I think we're going to play better than we played the last football game because I think we're growing each week. I keep saying we're coming. Yeah, and we're getting there. So hopefully this will be the week that we come back with the positive news and the positive outcomes that we want.
Definitely so.
As for Ralph, I want to say this.
Hopefully he comes back with us.
But remember, and I need to say this, the emotion you feel and see from Ralph, when you look at Ralph's history, high school history, not just in, Rub Daytona.
Right.
Ralph has some Delray Carver and some Booker T, Washington Tornado in him, and that's going to show. It's just going to show. He's been through the battles with those Florida people he was hanging out with.
Jerry.
Yep. Well, I'm looking forward to Taji sitting in between me and Ralph. We're gonna be close. I'll let her be the buffer. Yeah, and then, but no, I'm expecting to win. I expect this to be a catalytic game. Again, I think Coach Woody has been doing a great job of laying the foundation, but you got to have that signature moment in which everything just pulls it, and it's like, all right, that kind of wax on, wax off moment from the Karate Kid where all of the training, all of the preparation, it all comes into focus, and it's like, okay, we see where we're going now. I think that happens this week. I think we walk out of Montgomery with the win in front of a homecoming crowd. We make an announcement to our fans, to the SWAC, and most importantly to these players, that Bethune-Cookman football is on the right trajectory, and this becomes the game that you circle where things start to feel different, and you go from can we win to we expect to win.
There you go. Looking forward to seeing you, fans. Let's go Wildcats.org. Join us. Hop on the bus, headed to Montgomery. ASU's homecoming. Let's go see our Wildcats beat the ASU Hornets. For Mr. Ralph Smith, Mr. Larry Wesley, Mr. Jerry Bell, I'm your host, Darold Williams. Hail Wildcats, and we'll see you next week. Let's go, Cats.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bethune-Cookman University alma mater.